Since the early 1990s, it's been partially declassified, and I'm about to go over it, that major Western governments have been secretly adding to jet fuel a whole host of radioactive isotopes, aluminum dioxide, the list goes on, to manipulate the weather on this planet. And when the general public brings it up, they just say, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist, despite the fact that most of this is hiding in plain view. They kept the Manhattan Project secret. They kept the Tuskegee experiment secret. They've kept literally hundreds of different projects secret until the establishment feels like telling us they were doing it later. In the public documents dealing with weather manipulation, geoengineering, or terraforming, they say it's being done for our own good and to repair the atmosphere. But the scientists, meteorologists, astrophysicists, and others that I've talked to have said what they're spraying and releasing would actually eat holes in the atmosphere and damage the soils of the planet. So let me now race through for you the over 50 or so documents I have here in front of us admitting the geoengineering program that's going on. Council on Foreign Relations, 2008. Geoengineering workshop on planetary scale geoengineering. This is already going on. It's a multi-hundred-page report. Go read it. Admitting this is going on. But then they make jokes on the nightly news when I talk about this. Here's another report out of Wired magazine. Earth's dimming skies before and after. Admitting that condensation trails from jet aircraft since the early 1990s has dimmed the planet upwards of 30%. That's from 2009. Pretty darn important. Here's another article. Can 1 million tons of sulfur dioxide combat climate change? That's their cover for this. And Bill Gates gets billions in taxpayer money a year to carry out these secret projects. He's just one part of it. Here's an Infowars.com article with the link to the National Patent Office. Spraying the skies, 1975, U.S. patent for powdered contrail generation. And you look at what they're releasing now in the atmosphere, what's being picked up, it's exactly that. The airlines don't even know. It's at the major jet fuel manufacturers. There's more than 50 patents on this alone for geoengineering. BBC, you notice I'm going through one stack here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 more stacks. BBC, why the sun seems to be dimming. Man-made chemtrails. This is a key article from the Pentagon. Weather as a force multiplier, owning the weather by 2025, 1996. Dealing with manipulation of the weather. Department of Defense weather programs, breaking down the control of hurricanes, everything that's been going on since the 60s. Declassified in 2004. Ben Livingston, the father of weather weapons, was interviewed on radio and TV by me. Report. Oral evidence taken before the Science and Technology Committee, 2010, in Congress, dealing with the geoengineering that's going on. Here's another. Unilateral geoengineering. Briefing notes. Again, this is put out by Stanford University, who first certified the weather control in 1968 with Ben Livingston, not declassified till the mid-2000s. Let's continue to another key document. Indirect and semi-direct aerosol campaign. This is put out by the federal government and more than a dozen major universities, dealing with how they are manipulating the weather currently and controlling it. You notice all the droughts, the rest of it. Just like I told you how the 1992, a Nobel Prize was won by Paul Crutzen on how to control the weather worldwide with these systems, okay? And you read what he got the prize for. Turned out this was work he did decades before. His plan got implemented. He won the prize because he claims it's to fix the ozone holes. Why aren't you telling the public then about this project if it's supposedly to fix the ozone holes? We've interviewed the physicists, the atmospheric experts. It's pure bull. They're changing our atmosphere. House of Commons, Science and Technology Committee, the regulation of geoengineering, 2010, calling for banning it, talking about how dangerous it is. There's UN treaties on it from 1979. But again, none of this exists even though I'm giving you all the documentation. I told you in 1996 that the NSA spy grids were to be able to predict the future and mass movements and rig economies. Snowden told you that last year. I'm on record. I know what I'm talking about. We've done our homework. Here's another one put out by Harvard. Stratospheric injection of reflecting aerosols and particles by means of aviation fuel additives. Bam. That's how they're compartmentalizing it, where people don't know what's happening. Cirrus cloud seeding using airliners to reduce reflectivity and, quote, save us from the sun as the Earth actually gets less light and plants begin to die. All mainline government reports. The Air Force breaking it down, all the rest of it. And separately, then the Air Force comes out and whitewashes it and just says it's ice crystals. No, we know there's natural ice crystals at high altitudes that form. We're not saying it's all weather modification. The point is the weather modification is going on. You can search it. You can watch C-SPAN where they've had hearings admitting all of it. This is the reality. And you ignore all of this at your total peril. The globalists have created a breakaway civilization. They have created a technocracy. They're playing God. In places like Dubai years ago, they admitted they could control their weather and make it rain and turn the desert green. But here, they don't tell you that a lot of the so-called Doppler towers are really weather control towers. And I was told that in 1999 by a top engineer in microwaves, and didn't even believe it when he gave me the documents, and then years later saw it in the Daily Mail and the Associated Press. But in the Middle East and China, not here. They're doing it with jet trails, with the chemicals. They're doing it with these different microwave systems and relay towers that then resonate with it. They've got over-the-horizon radar is one reason they're spraying this stuff. The point is we need to know. The public needs to have an investigation. This is hardcore, serious info that government, using our tax money and our ingenuity, has built a breakaway civilization where they put stuff in our water, GMO in our food, they're messing with the weather, they're buying armored vehicles and billions of rounds of ammo, and have TV shows bad-mouthing the founding fathers.
A condensation trail is very similar in many ways to when you go outside on a cold day and exhale, you create a condensation trail. That little cloud is a condensation trail. Now, if you take a 2-mile walk on a cold day and you can turn around and you can see your condensation trail tracking all the way back for 2 miles, that's how crazy it is.
There'll be some outside influence doing that. Thank you.
I'm here to give you testimony that chemtrails, they're not contrails, are indeed real. They're spraying almost every day. I watch the clouds and watch the spraying program going on. I want to tell you that we're in very great danger from the pollution that's coming down over us.
Around and I see people are starting to look up and see this. Many times I've spoken about chemtrails and I get this blank look on my face. What are you talking about? I'm saying, look up. As a pilot, before I fly, I look up. And so, boy, they're really out there working.
When you look up at the sun and you see a white haze, that is aluminum floating in the air right now, and it's coming from the aircraft.
There's a huge amount of aluminum being found because these sprays have aluminum, strontium, barium, manganese, and there's a lot of argument that aluminum is very common to be found, but aluminum is only common in a bonded form. It's not common in a free form, and we're finding high rates of free aluminum in the soil, which is not natural.
The metal compounds that are being used are environmentally dangerous. We need to be monitoring them. We need to be testing them.